Attention, Commanders fans! Are you ready for a bombshell that could completely change the fate of our defense? The rumors are heating up, and a crazy trade could be just around the corner. An AFC team is in free fall, and this might open the door for a key defensive piece to land in Washington. Imagine one of the best players in the league bolstering our secondary. But there's a price, and it won't be cheap. Stick around to find out how this move could be the game changer we need to make it to the playoffs. Is it a risky bet? You decide. And what about the boldest moves? Well, according to a trusted source with direct ties to our general manager, something huge might be brewing. Yeah, you heard that right. There's talk of a trade that would send shockwaves through the entire NFL, bringing an elite pass rusher to Washington. Are we ready to pay the price? This is the kind of player who can completely transform our defense. But beware, not everything that glitters is gold, and making this move could cost us more than we think. Don't miss the details. These kinds of decisions shape the future of our team. Finally, an update that has the entire Commanders nation on the edge of their seats. Our star quarterback is in doubt for the upcoming game against the Bears, and this could change everything. Will it be Mariota stepping up, or are we in for a last-minute miracle? The status of our young star is up in the air, and with key rivals approaching, there's no room for error. This is a crucial moment. Can we hold up without him? Join us until the end to find out what's coming. And you know the drill. Subscribe now and hit that like button if you want to stay updated on every move that defines the season. Hail to the Redskins. Should the Washington Commanders make an aggressive move for a star player like Denzel Ward from the Cleveland Browns? I'm telling you, absolutely yes. We're talking about a team that's proven to be competitive on offense, but the defense is in trouble. And this is where I ask, what do we need to make a strong playoff push? Look, after 7 games, the Commanders have made it clear they have an offense that can compete in the NFC. Jaden Daniels is solidifying himself as the franchise quarterback we all hoped for, and the coaching duo of Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury seems to have revitalized the team's offense. But the defense, oh boy, the defense. This has been a constant issue, and while we dominated the Carolina Panthers, we're still sitting at the bottom of the league in several key defensive categories. And this is where I say, we need changes. The secondary? It's a mess, and we all know it. Emmanuel Forbes Jr., who many of us had high hopes for, hasn't shown the development we wanted. Plus, the transition from Ron Rivera's defensive scheme to Dan Quinn's has been tough for this young unit. So what do? We need to make moves in the trade market. General Manager Adam Peters has to get out there and look for upgrades, whether that means small moves or a big-time acquisition. And here's where the possibility of Denzel Ward comes into play. According to Pro Football Focus, it's suggested that the Commanders make a dream move and seek to acquire the 3-time Pro Bowler from the Browns. Ward is one of the top cornerbacks in the AFC and has an impressive tackling ability, something we desperately need in the secondary. And you know what? This isn't just a dream, it's a reality we could achieve. What does it mean to get Ward? Look, the Browns are in sell mode this season. They already sent Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills, and with Deshaun Watson out after his Achilles injury, Cleveland is spiraling down. Ward could be available, and Peters has a good stash of draft picks he could use to bring him to Washington. And here's my question. Is it worth risking draft picks for a player like Ward? I'm telling you, yes, it absolutely is. Listen, we're 5-2, but our secondary defense is a mess. We're ranked 28th in the league in coverage, and no cornerback has managed a coverage grade above 66.5 this year. That's not what we need if we want to make it to the playoffs. We need a player like Denzel Ward, who can bring stability and quality to a defense that desperately needs it. And don't get it twisted, Cleveland isn't going to give Ward away. The price will be steep. But if we really want to make a serious push in Dan Quinn's first year, we have to be willing to sacrifice some picks. Now I ask you, should we risk our draft picks to bring in a player who can change the destiny of our defense? I believe this is an opportunity we can't let slip away. We're playing well right now, but let's not kid ourselves. We're not going to be facing teams like the Panthers every week. The road to the playoffs is going to be tough, and a player like Ward could be the difference between a good season and an incredible one. Folks, today's news has us thinking big, and when I say big, I mean a potential move that could shake up the entire NFL. Now, before you get too excited, let's be clear about something. I'm not talking about just any player. We're talking about Max Crosby, one of the most feared defenders in the league. But let me ask you a question. Would this be the right move for the Commanders right now? I'm telling you, speculation is ramping up with the trade deadline approaching. And yes, Washington is in a very favorable position after 7 weeks. But hold up. We need to be strategic. General Manager Adam Peters isn't the type to get swept up in the moment. How many times have we seen teams make a big move only to regret it later? Here, Peters has a clear plan, a plan to build a franchise that doesn't just compete this year, but stays strong long-term. And this is where the really important question arises. Is it worth making such a big move right now? I think that while Max Crosby would be an enormous addition, we need to be realistic. This guy is a monster on defense. Can you imagine what it would mean for the Commanders' defense to have Crosby going after opposing QBs week after week? He's the kind of player who changes games and can take you to the top. But at what cost? Now, Thomas Dimitroff, a former GM who knows Peters and head coach Dan Quinn well, recently talked about what could happen. Dimitroff believes Crosby would be the perfect fit for what Washington is building. Dan Quinn loves real pass rushers, he said, and rightfully so. Quinn has always based his defenses on constant pressure. Just imagine Crosby in this scheme. It would be pure dynamite on the field. But here's the other thing, and don't doubt this. The Raiders aren't going to let Crosby go easily. This is a player who, despite how bad things are in Las Vegas, continues to perform at a high level. Sure, it's true the Raiders are falling apart, no competent QB, selling Davante Adams, and an interim coach who's publicly criticizing his players. But still, Crosby remains the cornerstone of that defense. And if Washington really wants to land this player, they're going to have to pay a steep price. So here's my question. Should Peters make this move right now? Because honestly, while the idea of bringing in Crosby is tempting, going after a player of this caliber in the first year of the Peters era might be too soon. If we look at how he built the 49ers alongside John Lynch, they first solidified the foundation and then got aggressive in the trade market when the timing was right. Don't get me wrong, I want to see the Commanders competing for it all, but not at the expense of this team's future. We know Peters is playing for the long haul, and while anything is possible in the NFL, I don't think he's going to risk so much draft capital right now. The situation around our quarterback, Jayden Daniels, isn't looking good and has us all on the edge of our seats. After his forced exit in the last game against the Panthers, uncertainty about his return remains. Let's break it down. And as always, I'll give you my unfiltered and direct opinion. What's going on with Jayden Daniels? You saw what happened. Daniels left the field after that brutal hit to the ribs, leaving us all worried. Now, according to the latest report from Adam Schefter on SportsCenter, Coach Dan Quinn has made it clear that Jayden is week to week. And let's be honest, when a coach says that, it's code for saying we probably won't see him on the field this Sunday. Is this a red flag for the Commanders? I believe so, and here's why. While Marcus Mariota did a solid job taking the reins after Daniels went down, the team needs its leader on the field, especially when the opponent is none other than the Chicago Bears. This is the most anticipated matchup of the season, folks. Caleb Williams, the #1 pick, against Jayden Daniels, our future. But if Daniels doesn't recover, all that excitement could fizzle out. Should we be worried? Of course. Now I ask you, how will Daniels' absence impact our long-term performance? Because this isn't just about this game. Yes, the matchup against Chicago is crucial, but what's really at stake here is the future of our season. The coming weeks include key matchups within the NFC East, and we can't afford to lose Daniels at such a critical time. The dilemma is real. Do we risk Daniels on the field Sunday, knowing he's not at 100%? Or do we hold him back to make sure he's fully recovered for the battles ahead against our divisional rivals? I'll say this, Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are handling this with caution, and I believe they'll make the right call, but the pressure is immense. Marcus Mariota. Is he enough? If Daniels doesn't play, Mariota will lead the team. And I ask you, do we really trust Mariota to win this crucial matchup? I think Mariota has the experience, but this team has been built around Daniels' unique skills. His passing accuracy, 75.6% completions, and his ability as a dual-threat quarterback, 372 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns, are not something we can easily replace. But we also need to be smart. The long-term future is what matters. We're at a crossroads, Commanders. Jayden Daniels is the heart of this offense, and his recovery is vital for our playoff aspirations. However, we can't rush him back and risk more than we should. I'll say this: the next game will be a test for both Daniels and Marcus Mariota, if Mariota ends up being the starter. Now I ask you, would you risk Daniels to face Chicago, or would you let Mariota take the reins this Sunday? Let me know in the comments, and remember, there's a lot on the line this season. Commanders fans, now it's time to speak up. With the possibility of Ward coming to Washington, what would you do? Is it time to sacrifice draft picks for a quality player who can bolster our defense? Or do you think we should be patient and find internal solutions? Could Max Crosby be the missing piece we need? Or would that be too big of a sacrifice at this point in our team-building process? We want to hear your thoughts. Is it worth risking our future for an immediate win, or should we stay focused on the long-term plan? Let me know in the comments and join this epic discussion. And now the big question: would you risk Jayden Daniels this Sunday against the Bears, or let Mariota lead the charge to ensure the health of our franchise quarterback? With key games ahead, every decision counts. Share your opinion, and if you haven't already, subscribe to be part of this great family of fans who live and breathe the Commanders. And remember, hail to the Redskins!